Hi there, thanks for joining us today. Basically I've created a program for expanding the size of STLs and then chopping them down into sizes suitable for your printer. I know there's a couple of programs already out there that do this, but the cost on one or two of them is a bit prohibitive and they don't look as though they work the way I want to work. Now it is still in development. I am adding a couple of new features to it, but come on, let's have a run through it. So it starts off on the loading screen. I'm using a Baymax model because that's what started it all really. I promised to make it for someone. Now he's facing the wrong way, so I'll just turn him around by 180 degrees. And there we go, there's the front. Now if I don't want to type it in, I can click on the rotate button and just drag left and right to rotate as you want. I can also rotate on the other axis. There we go. But let's reset those. You can also physically flip the model from left to right. So if you notice at the moment, these little patches on the left hand side, and it's turned them right round again, but oh, I'm still on the other axis there. Let's just spin that back, and it's put in place in the wrong way again, so let's just bring them round to the front. And as you can see, these little badges on the other side. Let's take everything back to normal. I have got an experimental smoothing option at the moment, which will just smooth out the model a little bit. That's not fully working yet. I've built in a size converter, so say you wanted this to be 5 feet, you can put in 5 feet, it tells you how many millimeters it'll be, and then you can just type that in at the top to change its size. If you want your model to have a heavier weight at the bottom, you can thicken the bottom to make it solid for as many millimeters as you like as well. I'm happy with that, so let's click done. It's now just setting the model up, setting the screen up. Just takes a couple of minutes depending on how good your computer is. And there we go. So the red lines are print divisions, so that'll fit your printer, and it tells you how many cuts there are at the top. You've got a few different options. You can add in a radial line, which if you wanted a certain section, like a shoulder, that's usually a good point. If you want to remove a line, right click gives you the menu, and let's just take that line back out. The little green markings are join points. You can either have none, you can have it where it produces a little pin that is built into the model, and you can select pin holes, in which case it will also create the little pins as a separate STL. You can choose the number of pins per section, so if you just want fewer pins or if you want more. And you can select numbering, which imprints the part number on the inside. For some reason that only seems to work at the moment with smaller models. What am I showing here? Now, as you can see in the printer settings, everything is red. All the figures are in red and the model is completely in red. That means that the parts are too big for the printer itself. So let's go back to the Saturn, and if I click on use recommended settings, yeah, thank you. Come on, catch up. There we go. It's now split into sizes suitable for the printer. It's saying that there's 254 cuts, resulting in 156 parts. Everything's green, so that's good. Now you can add a line, either horizontal or vertical, and that's all controlled with a cursor. It's nice and easy, so you can move it across and set it in place. You can also add a line right across the model, and that works in exactly the same way. And as you can see, it puts in the joins as well. Now you can also move lines, so right click again, select move long line, and that will let you move the whole line in one go. It's now telling you that it's too big for that axis on the printer. will undo that. If a section is left too big, you can add in one of those lines to resolve that one. There we go. Everything's happy again, all the printer settings are green. Now let's have a quick look at that radial line again. So right click on a line or a point, select radial, and as you can see you can move it around and cut parts based on the rotation around that point. Right clicking on a radial line, you can again move it up and down, and it follows whichever line you move it in the direction of. Made that sound weird, but it works. You can also mirror the line. There we go. And again, whichever axis you're closest to when you click on the radial line, it'll mirror across that axis. Again, comes in really useful if you want to do things like split shoulders off, things like that. So that pretty much covers the menu there. Snap to, can't remember what that does. I did that near the start. We're happy with that, so let's go. Now it's just scanning the model from the outside in, just that it preserves the outer skin, and also for all of the calculations for the thickness of the model. I didn't mention that, did I, in the earlier part? In the loading screen where you set the size, you can also set the skin thickness. Now I've found that a lot of the time, once it gets up into about the top third, it literally just jumps through. You could call it a bug, I'm going to call it a feature. Right, we're into generating the cavity. It fills the model with a two-tone sage colour for a reason. Once you get past the widest point on the top view, you'll start seeing like a topological view of it. It's showing you there exactly where the hollows are going to be. I went for accuracy over speed, because if you're going to spend 2 months building a model, then a quarter of an hour making it isn't much. And there we're starting to get the topological effect on it. This is in real time as well, so it actually doesn't take too long for this part at all. And that topological view is starting to look really good there as well. Right, so it's generated all of the cavities. Now what it's doing is just performing a bit of a clean up on them, because they're a bit blocky on the inside, so it's just going to smooth them a little bit. Because I did create this with resin print in mind, it also gets rid of any sharp points on the joins. I found that it does help a little bit with not sticking to the FEP. Although saying that, I haven't had a failed print on the actual version that I'm printing at the moment. Right, into splitting. This is the fun bit. Because the model is placed inside essentially a 3D cube, it will also look at the empty areas outside, but then obviously it just discards those. Now the way I wanted to work with it is to build each level separately and then stack them from the bottom up. So that's the way I've designed it to do the cutting. Cutting sounded right, Jodie, there, didn't I? I've sped this up to about 8 times normal speed, just so that you can see how it works. And on the left hand side you can see the status and the elapsed time. And now it will run through and add all the joins as well. This is at normal speed, I haven't sped this bit up at all. At this bit, the screen recorder actually slowed the program right down, I actually had to change the way it allocated memory for this, because twice before it crashed out completely, which it doesn't do when the screen recorder is not running. And that's it done. Now when I opened the output folder, it came up on my other monitor, so if you give me a second I'll drag that across for you. And there we go, 156 parts, and if you look at the top there, it's also got the locator pins. It's a separate model. That's obviously one of the parts, and you can see on the edges there's your holes. Now that has got an extra little bit sticking on it, but with the next version that'll be cured. Right, something else that I've added. It's grabbing the models from the folder, which it decided it wanted to do without updating the screen. Right, so here we go. A breakdown level by level of all the parts. It's pretty self-explanatory. Just shows what parts are in each level. You can do it as A4, A5, portrait, landscape, and you can show parts row by row as it does here, or you can actually have it set the parts up per page, make it nice and easy. Now, as I said earlier, it should do numbering on the inside of each part, about a centimetre high number. It's working on smaller models. It worked on the 8-piece 40cm high Baymax, but for some reason it decides not to work on the parts with a lot of components, so yeah, I'll need to look at that. There we go, that's just a breakdown of the layers by page. Makes it a bit easier. Did I need to spend this long showing you this bit? Probably not, but I did it anyways. And there we go, we're going back just to the normal display screen. The last feature that I'm going to show you is just that you can save the whole thing at any point as an actual project, and it will remember, obviously, all the information about it, obviously. Nearly caught myself out there, nearly saved it with the wrong project name. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's not going to be for public consumption, I'm afraid. I've no plans at all to release it at this point. But if you've got any ideas or suggestions, pop them below. Quite happy to hear them. Thanks very much for watching.